Welcome everyone. It's Kyle Henderson, BamaInsider.com. Thank you for joining me today. Follow us on Twitter at Bama Insider, Instagram, Facebook, all the same. All the coverage back at BamaInsider.com. Thank you so much for the feedback regarding my last video regarding the assistant coaches at Alabama. I know a lot of you wanted me to turn my background audio down. Hopefully, I'm coming in loud and clear. A lot to talk about today. Today's show is geared towards Alabama's incredible roster coming back for the 2019 season. I'm going to talk about each player coming back. Tony Tuscaloosa, our team writer, did a great job laying out the depth chart, and I'm just going to go over the players as they're returning into 2019 spring practice. And we got to start out with the quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa. Crazy to think he'll be a junior this coming season. Last year, as just a sophomore, put up some ridiculous numbers. 3,966 yards through the air, 43 touchdowns, only 6 interceptions, 2 pivotal interceptions in the Natty. But throughout the course of his junior season, it'll be interesting to see just how talented Tua Tagovailoa is and the legacy that he'll leave here at Alabama. Because I think, as we all know, Tua's not returning for his senior season if things go extremely well this year. I think he's an NFL quarterback, and everybody knows that. Behind him, who's going to be? Mac Jones, Paul Tyson, Talia Tagovailoa. With Jalen Hurts exiting to Oklahoma, the battle for number 2 at Alabama is open. Mac Jones had a touchdown pass last year, remember, hooking up with Jalen Waddle. And then you got incoming guys like Paul Tyson and Talia, as I mentioned. Paul, the great-grandson of Bear Bryant. Talia, the younger brother of Tua. Very good storylines there. Cannot wait to see those two compete during A-Day. If they get a splash, everyone's excited about that next quarterback competition moving forward. At the running back position, got to replace Joshua Jacobs and Damian Harris. Both should be elected into the NFL draft in next couple months. Najee Harris returns. Big back, 6'2", 230 pounds. And so does Brian Robinson, 6'1", 225 pounds. Last year, as a sophomore, Najee ran for 783 yards with 4 touchdowns. And I think we really saw him explode in the later part of the season, especially in that national championship game. Brian Robinson, out of Hillcrest, right here in Tuscaloosa, ran for 272 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think he's a guy that really is excited to showcase his ability because, you know, he's had to wait for a little bit of time here at Tuscaloosa for his shot. But he has the physical stature. I think he has the explosiveness that a lot of the pass backs did. So Najee Harris and Brian Robinson is going to be a very dangerous combo in 2019. Behind Najee and Brian, you got incoming 5-star Trey Sanders, and you got Jerome Ford. Jerome Ford got his feet wet a little bit last year, but Trey Sanders, I think, is everyone's excited about to get him on campus. He won't get here until May. Young man already predicted he's going to win the Heisman Trophy. He's got some high aspirations. I love it. As we talk about the tight ends, you lose Irv Smith and Hell Hentage. Now, Irv Smith was Alabama's tight end who was a playmaker, and Hell Hentage did a lot of the dirty work, a lot of the downfield blocking, would catch your red zone touchdowns. Very good leader. Returning, they don't have a single player who caught a pass last year. So Kedrick James could be a guy, 6'5", 272 pounds. He's looked like he could be that athletic tight end for Alabama. He's shown glimpses of it. You have Michael Parker. He's a freshman. At the tight end, the H position, you have Miller Forrestall. Now, he did play 15 games in 2016. He does have experience. However, he was injured during the 2017 season and didn't record any receptions during the 2018 season. You have Major Tennyson, who's a redshirt sophomore, also had 0 catches. So the tight end position for Alabama, there's some talent there, unproven still, besides Forrestall, I guess. At the wide receiver position, let's talk about the Z position right now. That'll be Henry Ruggs, most likely. During the 2018 season, 46 receptions, 741 yards, and 11 touchdowns. Now, he's been a playmaker since his freshman season. I cannot wait to see what he does as a junior. Behind him, most likely, Xavier Williams and John Mechie. Those guys, younger guys. Xavier Williams redshirted last year. John Mechie will be a freshman this year. At the X position, you have Devontae Smith, another incredible playmaker. Caught the game winner in the national championship against Georgia last season as a sophomore. 42 receptions, 693 yards with 6 touchdowns. You also have Terrell Shavers. I would really like to see Alabama figure out a way to get the ball to this young man inside the red zone, right? There's a lot of talent within a player like Shavers. 6'5", 6'6", 4'4", but he just hasn't been able to be productive in his first couple years at Alabama just yet. At the H position, you have Jerry Jeudy, who was a Biletnikoff winner. Just such an incredible wide receiver. When you look at the lineage of receivers at Alabama, Julio Jones, Amari Cooper, Calvin Ridley, Jerry Jeudy's next in line. 68 receptions last year, 1,300 yards, 14 touchdowns. And then you also have Jalen Waddle, who as a sophomore had 45 receptions for 848 yards with 7 touchdowns as just a freshman. As we move towards the offensive line, at the left tackle position, Alabama has to replace Jonah Williams, who will be an NFL first-round draft pick, more than likely. I'm really curious to see how new offensive line coach works with Alex Leatherwood, who is projected to fill that spot. 6'6", 304 pounds, started 15 games as a sophomore during the 2018 season. Behind Leatherwood is likely Scott Lashley, 6'7", 313 pounds. And then you have redshirt freshman, a guy I'm really excited about, Tommy Brown, 6'7", 310 pounds out of California. At the guard position, left guard, you have to replace Lester Cotton. Although Lester Cotton didn't perform that well towards the end of the season, and then we started to see a lot of Deonte Brown. However, we didn't see Deonte Brown in the national title game because he was suspended. Deonte Brown will be a redshirt junior, 6'4", 344 pounds. And besides these recent off-the-field issues, he's been a player who has really progressed. He was really heavy, probably close to, 400 pounds at one point, has really slimmed down and has really looked good leading the run game for Alabama. Behind him at the left guard position, you got to think it's a player like Emil Ekiyor, 6'3", 342 pounds. At center, you have to replace Ross Piersbacher. Now, Alabama will have a multi-year starter at center likely for these next 2 years. Chris Owens will be a redshirt junior, and Emil Ekiyor, those two will have to battle for the center position at Alabama this year. At right guard, you have Matt Womack. He was a starter in 2017. He suffered a foot injury in 2018. He has some experience. He did play in 7 games last season. You also have freshman Pierce Quick, who a lot of people are excited about. I really like Pierce Quick. He's a guy who seems like he has that leadership ability. He's 6'5", 270 pounds. It'd be really exciting to see how he competes this spring. At right tackle, you have Jedrick Wills, 6'5", 309 pounds, 16 career starts, very experienced, and he's only going to get better. I think you look at him and Alex Leatherwood as the future of the Alabama offensive line. You have Evan Neal right behind him, incoming 5-star. He's listed at 6'7", 360 pounds. He's coming out of the IMG Academy. Then you also have Amari Kite, who was teammates with Talia Tungavaloa at Thompson High School. As we switch to the defensive side of the football, Raekwon Davis returns at the end position. 6'7", 315 pounds, 55 total tackles last year. But this is really interesting. He had just 1.5 sacks. you could spin it however you want. I think we all know that this young man underachieved. I didn't think a lot of us felt that he would be returning for this season. So you get a coach like Brian Baker to work with Raekwon Davis. I think it's going to pay dividends for Alabama, and you're going to see Raekwon Davis be one of the most imposing defensive linemen during the 2019 season. Behind Davis, you have Stephon Wynn, 6'4", 299 pounds, played in 3 games last year. At defensive tackle, somebody needs to step up because you have to replace Quinn Williams. The year before that, you had to replace Daron Payne. Fadarian Mathis comes back. He earned some SEC All-Freshman team honors from league coaches. He's got, maybe that DNA to fill that void. You also have Christian Barmore. It'll be, I'm really excited to see how he's matured year over year. 6'5", 292 pounds. You also have DJ Dell, who will be a freshman. Somebody's got to step up at that defensive tackle spot. At the other end position, you have LeBron Ray, 6'5", 294 pounds, saw action in all 15 games, started 1 game. He had 39 tackles, including 5.5 for a loss. I think LeBron Ray has a big-time player written all over him. He should have a monster year in 2019. Behind him, Antonio Alfano, incoming 5-star that everybody is raving about. 6'4", 285 pounds. I think we're all going to get a chance to see Alfano contribute very early, as early as the spring game for Alabama. I think he's that good. When you look at the linebackers positions, you have Sam, Mike, Will, and Jack. We'll start with the outside linebackers and we'll work our way in. At the Sam position, you're going to have to replace Christian Miller. Likely that's going to be Terrell Lewis. He's been injured the past 2 seasons. How good is he? It seems like his talent level is through the roof, but until he plays a full game, we're not going to be able to really gauge how good he is. He missed 10 games in 2017, missed action in 2018. So he's got to stay healthy. And I think if he does stay healthy, he'll be a first-round draft pick. You have Christopher Allen, another player who was injured last season. He's another guy with a lot of upside, but these guys got to stay healthy. At the jack position, you have Anthony Jennings, a lot of veteran experience. 6'3", 266 pounds, 50 tackles, 5.5 sacks last year. He's probably a player that's a little bit underrated when you talk about Alabama's defense. Behind him, some young guns that should be the future of Alabama's defense. Ayabi Anoma and Cameron Latou, both around the same size, 6'5", 245 pounds. Anoma played in 11 games last year, and Latou redshirted. I believe he played in 2 games. But each, when you watch them at practice, you can just tell that those guys have the DNA makeup to be big-time players. As we move to the inside linebackers, Dylan Moses will likely be the signal caller replacing Mack Wilson. And I think he's going to do a great job. When you talk to Dylan Moses during the media availabilities, very intelligent young man. He actually led the team in tackles last year with 86 total. 45 of those were solos. He had 10 tackles for loss. Other guys behind him, Joshua McMillan, Markel Benton, each had 14 tackles during the 2018 season. And then you could also see a player like Jalen Moody, who was really a special teams dynamite for Alabama. I think he could see some time this year in 2019. At the wheel position, that's a good question when you talk who's going to be the starter, because it could be Ali Kahu, who as a freshman, he had 10 tackles, mostly on special teams, and he's kind of built more like a safety, 6'1", 220 pounds. Markel Benton, maybe even Shane Lee, the 4-star coming in out of Maryland, maybe he could make a splash there. So the will, I think, is to be determined, but I think at the mic and the signal caller, definitely going to be Dylan Moses. When we talk corner positions for Alabama, a lot of talent returns. Trayvon Diggs missed most of the season with the foot injury. He's back. He should be healthy. Jalen Armour Davis right behind him. He's another guy who was banged up last year with the ACL before the season even started. At the other side, you have Patrick Surtain, big corner, 6'2", 202 pounds, earned SEC All-Freshman team honors from the league coaches, 37 total tackles. Playmaker, I think he's a guy who could play all over the field. Maybe a Minka Fitzpatrick type player. At the star position, Shaheem Carter, veteran defensive back, played in 37 career games at Alabama. He has 12 starts at star. Last year, 2 interceptions, both of those returned for touchdowns. Now, at the 2 safety spots, you have Xavier McKinney, he's just an elite defensive back. He was actually the defensive MVP during the Orange Bowl. Third on Alabama last year in tackles, 73, including 6 for loss. But replacing Deontay Thompson is going to be a tall task. Could that be Jaron Maiden? He's going to be a senior. He has a lot of experience, 18 tackles, including 1 sack last year, 2 pass breakups, but big shoes to fill replacing Deontay Thompson. Now, we're going to talk specialists. Place kicker, Will Rashad, could be the incoming freshman. He's going to have to battle with Joseph Bolivas. I know a lot of people were upset with Joseph Bolivas last year. 75 made PATs, and he had 6 missed PATs, which is pretty incredible to miss that many PATs. I mean, I think he led the SEC in missed PATs. He was 14 of 18 from field goals. Kickoffs will most likely be Joseph Bolivas. Did a good job last year. At punter, you have to replace Mike Bernier, who took the spot from Skylar DeLong, but Skylar DeLong should have much more experience this year as a sophomore. Kick returner, you have to place Joshua Jacobs, who had an average of over 30 yards per kick return. We're going to likely see Trayvon Diggs, Brian Robinson, Henry Ruggs, Najee Harris. I'd personally like to see maybe Jalen Waddle and Henry Ruggs. Could you imagine those guys back there returning kicks? Nobody would kick to Alabama. Punt return, Jalen Waddle. Last year as a freshman, 16 returns, 233 yards with 1 touchdown. Absolutely blazing, and he's electrifying with the football in hand. Holder, either Mac Jones or one of the freshman quarterbacks, you got to think. Long snapper, Thomas Fletcher. So as you can see, when we look at the roster, both on the offensive side and the defensive side of the football, Alabama is absolutely stacked. This team is going to be making a push for another SEC championship game and another run at the playoffs and another run at the national title. Too much talent on both sides of the ball. You've seen the coaching staff that Nick Saban has lined up. Nick Saban is still hungry for multiple national titles, and that's why I think the Alabama Crimson Tide will be even better during the 2019 season. Thanks for joining me on this video. Catch all our coverage back at BamaInsider.com from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama. This is Kyle Henderson. Until next time.